Hey there, seekers of spiritual, tangible results.
Welcome to the no-nonsense zone, where common sense meets the spiritual. I'm Jason Parks.
I'm Emma Romano, your unapologetically real spiritual guides.
We don't sugarcoat, we don't dance around the woo-woo, we just deliver the raw, kick-ass truth.
Join us each episode as we dive deep into the mystical, cut through the bullshit, and show you how to manifest the tangible results you've been craving for.
No fluff, no filters, just two mentors on a mission to elevate your mind, body and soul.
Get ready to transform your life like never before. This is Soul Aligned Results, where spirituality meets the real world.
Yep.
Welcome, everybody. This is Emma Romano and the amazing
Jason Parks.
Hey, guys. Welcome. This is going to be a really great, juicy podcast. Before we start, can I just ask for a massive, massive favor? Hop onto soulalignedresults.com, and in there you can subscribe to our podcasts and newsletters, whatever. And what we want to do is we want to get as many people to find this information as possible, because when you subscribe, well, you know, the algorithms change and all that kind of stuff. And this is the stuff that I don't understand. But, you know, Jason said, hey, mention about the algorithms. So this is mention the algorithms. We just want as many people to find this information as possible, because the information that we've got can literally change lives into really opulent, healthy, wealthy lives. So we want as many people in this world to lift themselves. So go on to soulalignedresults.com, subscribe, and then you get more access to us as well. So you'll know when special deals come up, when all the new stuff comes up. But today is super delicious. Are you ready for this title? Being unreasonable in our spiritual practice. Oh, this is a Jason Parks special, everybody. Go for it, Jason.
All right. Thanks, Emma. So, all right. Being unreasonable. This is really important. I'm at the moment. A few weeks ago, I went to a grading. I've been doing martial arts for 40 years. And just sort of to bring this into perspective, 40 years ago when I started doing martial arts, I started off in karate. And it was at school. There was somebody turned up in like we used to call enrichment, was like a, non-curricular activity thing that was done on a Monday. And anyway, I ended up being able to do karate. And now I've been wanting to do martial arts for years, and there was no access to it. And it was certainly in those days, certainly not like now, where you can just get on the internet and look at something. So it was just not, it was not possible.
You had to go to a class.
That's right. If your public library didn't have a book on it, you had no access at all. If there was not a class in your town or whatever. So it was like, well, there was no real options. So anyway, I got to do this, and then I was able to go and do it properly after school. And the first thing I did was I started studying Shotokan karate, traditional Japanese karate. And anyway, many twists and turns. And 40 years of practice, I went into studied different martial arts, did Aikido, Taekwondo, kickboxing, wrestling, God, you name it. And then I got into the Chinese martial arts and did a lot of Kung Fu and really went a long way with that. That was where I was a Shaolin disciple. I became a civil monk in that tradition for 5 years. I stepped back into discipleship for a long time, and then moved away from that again as the political climate changed. It was like, well, this is not conducive to moving in the direction that you want to do it.
Because you're broke. They don't pay you.
No, it's not workable in that way. And the other thing too is that now it's a bit of a circus. So it's the depth that was in it when I was doing it is not there anymore. And people don't even know it's not there anymore. It's been so many generations. So it's I kind of did all that. Anyway, over the years, I've continued to practice and do a lot of different things. But I was in meditation a few years ago, and I'm sitting in meditation, and this voice of spirit says, you need to go do sport karate. You need to go to this particular dojo. You need to talk to Frank. Anyway, I was like, okay, have a look, gave it the Googles, and then it turns out there is a karate club in that dojo in that town where it said it was, and the instructor's name is Frank. And it's like, so
This is
apparently I
actually
need to
all
talk
true,
to
by
Frank.
the way. This is when I knew Jason. Like, this is like a couple, how long ago was this?
That was only a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
and
remember
then,
all of this. This is incredible.
yeah, so I went and I spoke to Frank and away we go. And I started
So
practicing.
there was a place there, and there was a guy called Frank, and that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been, and since then, it's been an incredible journey. It's been beautiful. And
Mm,
what I didn't realize, and this is the beautiful thing about spirit, when you're listening to spirit, what happens is I start off and I'm thinking it's going to be me back into training, reclaiming a bit of that. It has been a constant process of healing. It
mm,
has been, it's so much stuff has come out of this. So, some of the stuff that we've shared on the podcast here about like resentment processes and all those sorts of things, well, they came about through the experiences in going to practice karate. So, it's not that the karate is profoundly deep, it's that by going through that, I'm actually going through a process of healing and of closing a loop that I opened 40 years ago.
mm-hmm,
So, and this is a very important thing. When we set up, when we have an impulse of our soul, when we get that deep feeling in ourselves that there's something that we desperately want to do, we know that it is of immense value to us. What happens is we open a loop in our consciousness and we start a question about, okay, how do I get from point A to point B? And we just keep running that. And it takes a lot of energy to run that. Now, if we don't close that loop, we don't accomplish that goal as it were, what happens is it just keeps running. It moves from consciousness into subconscious.
mm,
And now we don't really think about it, but it's still ticking away. And the longer it runs, the more energy it takes. And after a while, that'll start to affect your physical health because it's not going into healing, it's not going into growth. So we've got masses of these things just running constantly in the background. So what happened was I went to, and to bring it back into this being unreasonable, as I've gone through this process, I've had to learn a lot about myself. I've had to learn a lot about
yeah,
what I thought I was, who I thought I was, and who I actually am. And so I went through this grading, and the grading itself was quite a prolonged process. So we had 6 hours a day training for 5 days, and on the end of the first day, I'm going along, and like I'm not 20 anymore by any stretch of the imagination, right? So you get out there, it's like, okay, this is going to be hard enough as it is. And first day, I'm getting there, and I'm about last session, maybe 20 minutes from the end of the day, and we were sparring, and I went to step forward on what they call jigsaw mats, and as I went forward, toes got caught in it, and I sprained three of my toes, and yeah, it was no fun at all. So anyway, I stopped, had to sit it out, went home the end of the day, and I come home and and I was talking on the phone. I was saying, "Yeah, look, this is I hurt myself while I was at training, but just have to deal with that. We'll sort it all out." And when I got home, my family, so beautiful, they're all there ready to take care of me, and my youngest daughter in particular, because this is where this conversation came from. My youngest daughter's like, "Okay, Dad, don't worry. You know, we'll run a bath for you. We're going to cook dinner. We're going to set you up. We're going to look after you. It's all good. We're all ready to go." And I said, "Well, that's really beautiful." I said, "But unfortunately, I got to get up at 5 o'clock tomorrow and go to training." So, and she's like, but you hurt your foot." I said, "Yeah, I did." I said, "I'm just going to have to figure it out." So, because the requirement for me to be able to get over the line for that grading is that I have to do this. I'm not going to put this off another year, another whatever. So that's a very reasonable assumption to make. It's like, well, you can't do it now. You've hurt yourself, so you have to keep going. So anyway, this is a little bit of a shock to her. And as you understand, for a 13-year-old girl, it's like, what? You know? But I
yeah.
said to her, if you want to accomplish anything of value in your life, at some point you've got to become very unreasonable. It is very unreasonable to be the best version of yourself because everything in your culture is telling you don't.
Mm.
We're addicted to, there's a thing, I remember years ago, I was listening to Earl Nightingale, and he made a reference to people coming home at the end of the day, sitting down watching television. And what they're doing is that they're watching other people's creations. They're watching other people's lives who they think are more interesting than their own. And I remember what a profound statement that was, because it was just like, wow, I had not considered that for a minute. When I'm sitting down watching other people's creations, I'm not creating.
Mm-hmm. So
So yeah. So it's this thing about being unreasonable. If you want to really, really do something of value in your life, the we're watching a lot of stuff at the moment in international politics, and basically in the cultural paradigm of the Western world, we're watching a lot of desperation. We're seeing a significant shift in human consciousness, and that human consciousness is kind of polarizing. And it's not about freedom and control. It's not about that at all. What it's about is consumption and creation. Either you reconnect, you deliberately reconnect your connection to the divine and tap into that soul purpose that you were born with, and you start actualizing that in your day to day and making that your highest priority. Or you are going to be pushed down a path of endless consumption. You won't create anything. You will just become a drone going day to day, wake up, consume, work so you can consume, go to bed, repeat. And that's the pathway. So yeah, I want to talk in a minute a little bit about the return on investment of energy, but this thing about being unreasonable is probably, I think, in spiritual practice, probably the most significant thing that you get to do. Every worthy goal that you choose for yourself is an unreasonable action.
mhm.
For you to be a better parent, a better partner, better at your job, better at anything, it is an unreasonable action, because it's very reasonable to just go with the flow. Just do what everybody else is doing and don't rock the boat.
Do you know, you and I were just talking about this before, and whenever you talk, I'm always thinking of scenarios in my head where it's true for me.
Yep.
So this is why all you beautiful listeners out there, stories are really great. This is why we always talk about our own stories, because when we talk about our own stories, your unconscious mind will deliberately go in to say, where is this relevant for me? And this is, I'm just going to speak for 5 minutes on this subject because it's really, really a very big subject, especially in the coaching and therapy world.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about it, how it's reasonable for people to claim that they've made $25,000 in a week. Oh, I've just made $125,000 a month. It's actually reasonable, they think, to say that where they haven't at all. And this is what they're actually claiming. And it's something that I don't assign to, and it doesn't sit well with me. And I have been told to do it. I've been in this business for 10 years, and I've been told to do this, and it's industry standard, which makes me want to vomit
Yeah.
to do marketing like this. So when we're marketing a product, we will go, hey, you can get $25,000 worth of value, but I'm going to sell it to you for $300. Right? So you might get 10 people who have sold it for, you've sold it for $300. Good money. This is amazing because now you've got 10 people who can better their lives. But what is normal or industry standard or acceptable is that you can say, I've sold $125,000 worth. Well, you haven't. You might have sold $1,000 worth
Yeah.
or
That's right.
$3,000 worth, but it's now industry standard to say, oh, but I've sold $125,000 worth, but they haven't received $125,000.
That's a very just let that settle in for a minute because that's the distinction.
Yeah.
If you've sold something, then you've received an equal reward for what you've done.
And it's not true.
No, it's not true at all.
And this is where we also have to talk about investments versus returns as well. This is the thing. Consumerism is massive because people are looking. I get people calling me up, Emma, if I learn timeline reset or family freedom protocol, am I going to become wealthy? Well, I don't know. What are your beliefs around it? How hard you going to work? How many are you a good therapist? You can get any program. If you're a shit therapist, no,
Yeah, that's right.
you're not going to make a dollar.
Yeah,
You know, do you give value to your clients? Are you a good person? Are you a good therapist? When somebody walks into your practice, do you greet them, or is your house full of dirt? Are they stepping over stuff in the front door because they don't know they're not going to come back?
yeah,
But is my program going to make you that? I don't know. Does my program have the potential to make that? Absolutely,
yeah,
because it has for me. But
yeah,
what you're going to do in my program is not up to me.
yeah, that's right.
And I think this is this consumerism stuff. If I buy this car, I'm going to look like this. If I buy this gym membership, woohoo, I'm going to look like that. No, you have to go.
That's
You have
right.
to go to the gym. You
Yeah,
can't eat you can't eat your cake every day. You can't eat 5,000 calories of sugar and go to the and get a gym membership and be healthy. It doesn't work out that way.
yeah,
We have to create it. And I think this is so important where Jason sits there and goes, if you're sitting down watching TV and you think their life is more interesting than yours, stop complaining about it, turn the telly off, and do something about it.
that's exactly right.
Create the life that you want. Really create it. I think the easiest way to find out is always to go, you get a piece of paper. You've probably heard, guys, you've probably heard me say this before, but this is my little trick for me. If I am dissatisfied with something, I write down on a piece of paper, go, what would make me satisfied about this situation? Right. So say it's Anthony and I, my husband and I go, I want better date nights or whatever it might be. I want better connection. Well, what would it look like if I had better connection? I don't know. He would give me more compliments or whatever it might be. Then I go, well, am I doing that for Anthony?
Yeah,
Or here's a good one, especially for us girls. Are you ready for us ladies? This is what used to be my massive complaint about Anthony. I just want him to take me on more date nights. And then it was, do I allow him the space and do I support that? No. No. And I tell you how I was messing it up. He'd go, babe, let's go on a date. And I'd go, yes, we can go. And I would take over date night.
yeah,
Or I would sit there, or he'd go, okay, I've got this beautiful little Italian place I want to take. Oh, I don't really want to go Italian. I think we should go here. So again, I took over date night and then had the audacity to complain that Anthony didn't take me on date nights. That was a good one. So well played, Emma. So whatever you want, whatever your desire, whatever you're creating, whatever you want, you go, how am I supporting this and where am I messing this up?
yeah,
And then
absolutely.
you'll go, how am I supporting it? Oh, I'm not really. Where am I messing it up? Oh, 20 different ways. But it's good because then you can go where you're not creating it and you're deconstructing it.
Yeah, yeah, you got to get, I think the first step in any of this, you got to get over yourself.
Oh, yeah. There's no room for ego in this life.
No, no. And 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 not only that, but it's the ego of hanging on to failure.
Oh, I know.
Just don't have time for it.
Oh, I know.
You
Yeah.
got
It
to,
comes up. Like it comes up so many times. The
yeah,
ego comes up so many times. I caught myself in it the other day. I did this video And Ben and I, my son Ben and I did a video on why people got cortisol bodies, like they've got big bellies.
Yeah.
And it's all about, how we talk about ourselves and stuff like that. And I hadn't done this in so long. And I saw the video like an hour later and it already had 1,000 views. And I went, Ben, 1,000 views. I went, whoa, that's my ego talking. I
Yeah.
went, you're still playing it. Hello, hello, you. That little part in there playing little game with me. I'm like, interesting. So we don't want to shit on it and we don't want to make ourselves like shame ourselves over it, but just go, oh, I see you. Thank you. It's all about the law of correspondence.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
It's just showing us, and we want to know where it's playing up. It's when we don't see it playing up, that's the dangerous part.
Yeah.
Because then we
That's
can't,
exactly right.
it's,
Yeah.
it's dangerous when we go, oh, and this is another part where I think if we sit there and go, oh, I have no ego. Yes, you do. Everybody does. And I think the dangerous part is when someone says, I don't have an ego,
Yeah.
because they're not willing to look at it. They're not willing to go, oh, I see where it's crept in there. Oh, yeah, I see that behavior. I feel we're allowed to be sad and embarrassed and shameful and disappointed in ourselves, but only for a day.
Yeah.
Because we want to learn why, right, I can see where I've done it. I really don't like that part of me, but now I've learned from it.
Yeah.
And
It's
now I
and
get to create something different for me and those around me.
and it's really important. It's really important that we experience, like if we fail at something by our own standards, and that's really important. A failure is really from our own standards.
Mm-hmm.
If we are looking a lot of like external, you can get a lot of external reinforcement of failure that is turning around and saying, well, look, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
But what does it what does it matter if that's part of your process? If your process is to find out how many different ways can I break this so that we make it unbreakable. If every
Yeah.
time that we break it, we then correct that and then keep moving, it's a learning process. You're not failing at all. You're completely doing what you set out to do. But if you set your own standards and you don't meet them, then that's technically a failure. And it's important within that time to experience it. Don't be in that, there's this trend now where it's just like, oh, it's not good to feel bad about yourself because you're going to mess with your manifestation. You're going to do all this, and life's too short, and we're all lovely children of God. And it's like, well, that's all lovely, but you know what? It doesn't hurt for you to sit and experience as part of a complete experience. If you're sad, it's okay to be sad. If you're mad at yourself, it's
Absolutely.
okay to be mad at yourself. So what's not okay is that when you go beyond the point of awareness and experience of that, where you start to wallow in it, that's where it's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's ego. That's
Yes.
where ego is a problem because you are now attached to the idea of your own suffering. So you have to be able to put it down and go, yeah, okay, I fucked that up. Yep, it feels awful. Yep. Now what am I going to do about it? I'm going to
Yeah.
do this, this, this. And then you take action and get on it. So there's an inevitability in this work. And and I think that's the thing that's often not seen. That if you really set yourself to step into your own power, to be who you really are, and you act ethically within that, and you keep taking action, it is inevitable that you're going to get to where you want to get to. Now, sometimes the way in which we go about that makes it impossible because we're taking the slowest possible route to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And in life, we do have a clock ticking. There are points in our life where there's a point where women can no longer have children.
Yep.
There's a point where you're just too old to do shit that you would have liked to have done 30 years ago,
Yep.
right? There's a point where you are simply going to keel over dead,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's just the nature of being in a genetic body. So it's okay to set these goals, but we have to understand if we're taking the slowest possible journey towards them, then we're not going to make all of them. They're inevitable, but we're going to run out of time before we get there.
Yeah.
which is important. So with that, with that experiencing of those emotions, being able to move through them quickly, but not so quick as you miss the point. So that's quite an art form. And that's why you need to do things like regular meditation and regular review of your own quality of life and the tangible results that you create in that life.
And have great quality people around you who will hold that
Yeah.
and not throw you out because you messed up,
Yeah.
but help you process it and go, because you did this doesn't make you a bad person. Because you did this, it means something, and now we can unpack it. But if you keep doing that negative behavior, then that's the problem.
Yeah. That's right. If you're not learning from your mistakes.
You want to out create the shitty parts of yourselves
Yeah. Constantly.
all the time.
But I
Yeah.
think, yeah, with that, one of the other things I want to talk about is that investment, because you mentioned about it before, like that investment of energy and the return on energy.
Yes, this is important. I really want everybody take a deep breath, breathe out, let this really sink in what Jason's about to tell you.
So with this, what we need to understand is that it's not even. The amount of effort that you put in and the return on investment is not even.
Mhm.
So one of the things I remember I first heard a recording of Tony Robbins talking about something, and he mentioned this dynamic. Didn't explain how it works or anything, but he mentioned it, and I thought it was really, really important at the time. So I've played with it for many years, explored it for many years. But let's just take a simple model and we say, okay, because this is basically like in Australia how they do academic results, right? You get, or at least in our day, it was you get an A, you get a B, you get a C, you get a D, you get an E, right?
I got a I got a couple of Fs, but my uncle
And
said
you
it
can
was
get F.
F for fantastic though. So I think that was above an A. Was that above an A?
Sure. That's a F for fucking entrepreneur later on, right? That's
It
what
was
that
E
is.
for excellent and F
Mm.
for fucking fantastic.
So when you when you when you look at those grades, like if we look at the C grade, okay, that is the standard. That's industry standard,
Mhm,
educational standard. That's a pass mark. 51% is a pass mark
mhm.
generally. That means 49% wrong, you still get over the line.
Yeah.
If that's the standard you hold yourself to, what's going to happen is you're going to go, okay, well, I'm just going to trip over the line. No worries. I'm there. I'm doing a good job. So that's what that is. You go, how's your life? Good. What kind of parent are you? Oh, I'm good. I'm a good parent. How are you at your job? Yeah, I'm good. How are you, as a spouse? Yeah, I'm good. So you're not going to get good results from that. You're going to get what everyone else gets. And what everyone else gets is a bit of a formula. So when you put any energy in motion, you're sending it out at a certain level. Now, there are things that we term entropic forces. Now, entropic forces is everything else that comes in contact with it. So the moment you start to create something, so for example, you're talking before, like Anthony goes, I'm going to create a date night. So he says, all right, how would you like to go on a date? And you say, yeah, that'd be great. Let's do this. Now, his model of what he wanted to build is now being attacked from all angles
Yeah.
by all of that input. Now, it's not malicious or anything like that, but what it's doing is it's destroying the integrity of the creation.
Hmm.
So when you put forward something at a good level, when that stuff starts working on it, it starts to drop in its frequency. So the return you can expect from that, a good effort, is poor. You can expect poor return on your investment. It's not horrible, but it's not great. So you just get what everybody gets. And the big problem with that is the standard is very low.
Hmm.
So, being in that stream, being carried along by it is not necessarily where you want to be. It's not going to lead you. Most people live their lives, they work their entire life on the hope that one day they're going to retire and have a better quality of life. if they manage to live long enough to do that, most people retire into poverty, they retire into sickness, they retire into divorce, they retire into a really degrading return that continues to do so over time because that's what they've set up, which is pretty sad.
That's
And
extremely sad.
yeah, and the fact that this is what we think is normal is even sadder. So
So
it's
what can these amazing people listen to this do differently?
well, the key thing is you've got to. This is where being unreasonable comes in. That's completely reasonable. So if we break that scale up a little bit, right? So if you're starting at good, which is where most of us have the standard, down from that is poor. So if you do a poor job as a parent, poor job in your role or a thing, the results you're going to get are going to be catastrophic. If you do a poor job at work all the time, they're going to sack you. If you do a poor job in your relationship all the time, they're going to leave you.
Hmm.
All right. If you're going to do a poor job as a parent, so your kids are not going to respect you, and they're going to leave, and they're going to have all these other outcomes around that. Now, if you go up, what happens is um, you go into excellence. You start to be unreasonable. When you start to be unreasonable, you start to say, "Hey, I can do better,"
Yeah.
and that requires effort. And what happens there? You start to get good results. Right now, it doesn't sound very dazzling, but you're starting to get good results, not poor results. Now, like in any scale, there's the ends, right? There's those last sort of 10% or less on either end. So if you're going down, you have catastrophic. Now, if you're doing a catastrophic job, then what you're usually doing is, for example, if you're a catastrophic parent, what that means is the government takes your children off you.
Hmm.
That when society says you are not allowed to parent, right? So
Gosh.
that is catastrophic return on that. Now, when you do it the other way, when you step beyond excellence into being, even amongst those people who are excellent, you are outstanding in that, then there's this disproportionate swing in the return. So the same as catastrophic. If you start moving into that catastrophic range, the return, the amount of shit that comes into your life is beyond your comprehension. And the rate at which it flows to you is beyond your comprehension. There is
Mm.
no way that you could think that life could be that bad that consistently than when you're in that range. It's exactly the same at the other end.
Mm.
When you are moving from excellence into being outstanding amongst the excellent, then what happens is the opportunities that flow to you, the wealth that flows to you, the joy
Yeah,
that flows to you is off the show. All
it's
right.
true.
It's a complete disproportionate scale.
It's actually
So,
true. I can put my hand on my heart and declare that is absolutely true. Because I've been mentoring with you for 3 years now, and my health, that's what I did. So I don't want to be a good communicator. I want to be the world's best
yeah,
communicator. And what I mean by communicator is I want to educate people and help people understand them that they can heal from anything, that they can heal from trauma and how the unconscious mind works and how relationships work and how behavior works. And when I something lands in me, I can get something really complicated and I'm very good at relaying it in very simple terms.
yeah,
And since I've been working for 3.5 years, something like that, I mean, my wealth, my investments, I've got properties, I've my business, but me personally, my personally with my husband, because Jason and we don't do good. We don't do average. We don't do we don't do excellence either. We're outstanding. That's why I really believe like the proof is in the pudding. Like all our retreats book out.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, we've done 4 retreats in 1 year
yeah,
and they've all booked out.
yeah.
and it's
And
not, we're not doing paid advertising. We're not doing any of that. We don't ring people up going, come into the retreat. They come to us, go, I need to be in this retreat.
yeah, that's exactly right. It's really important that when you're talking about your soul contract, that's all
Mm,
about you.
yeah.
You define what that standard is. That
Mm,
it's not for society to tell you what is successful and what's not successful. So
mm,
it's about quality of life. Some people are, I mean, like as a man in this society, we're being told very clear messages about what it is to be a man. And
mm.
those messages are insane. They're absolutely crazy. If you,
Like, what are the messages that you feel you're getting as a man?
well, one of the main ones is that in order to be successful, you have to fit into a very tight box. So that box is you need to be you need to be multimillionaire
Mm,
minimum, preferably a billionaire. People don't
wow.
understand that. They throw the word billionaire around now, particularly in the industry. They throw that around with this concept that it's just like a bit bigger than a millionaire. So
Yeah, but do they realize how much? I mean, my gosh.
$1 million. If you want to be a millionaire, you own a unit in Western Sydney, right?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yep.
that makes you a millionaire,
Yep.
right? So that's a millionaire. Now, in order to be a billionaire, you have to own 1,000 of those,
Oh my goodness, that's
right?
insane.
It is a
Yeah.
completely different scale. So you've got to be preferably that. You've got to look like a professional bodybuilder in competition mode,
Gotcha.
right? You've got to sleep only with extremely famous celebrities or models. You've
Mm,
got to be ruthless. You have to be relentless. You have to be indefatigable. You just don't get tired. You said you work 20 hours a day every day. And then when you're not on there, you're spending 4 hours hanging on yachts or whatever it is that you do. But
yeah.
that's the idea about that's being successful. If you want to be if you want to be an excellent dad, nobody gives a shit about that. If you want to have a lovely home that you enjoy being in, nobody gives a shit about that.
No,
Because
as long as it's Instagram,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
yes.
Your life needs to be Instagram worthy.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is that Instagram isn't Instagram worthy. It's all bullshit.
Mm,
There's very few people that are doing anything in that social media world that is true.
it's
And
so true.
yeah, so it's like we started the conversation today. Like if you're focused on how much value you're offering the world and you're monetizing that, first of all, you've disconnected yourself from the divine. So
Completely.
you've switched off your abundance straight away
Yeah.
because what you're doing is now you're trying to sell smoke to yourself,
Mm,
and then you're trying to get everybody else to agree with you. So, and then the fact that this is industry standard is terrifying, because it's just all bullshit. I want to believe my own bullshit is what you're telling the universe. So the universe is going to give you more bullshit to believe in. That's what it's going to do.
do you know
That's
what
your manifestation.
I feel, I mean, what I've been doing the last few years, I used to really judge where I was by how much money was in my bank account. Like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm as successful as how much money I've made. I'm as successful as how many clients I've got. It was a numbers game. I was creating my success relied on numbers. How many
yeah,
people I had buying my products, how many, it was all a number. And I was struggling. Like, I would make money, but I was so burnt out. I was working 7 days a week, 10 to 12-hour days. It was insane.
yeah,
And I remember Ben, my son, and Jack coming up to, I was in my office yet doing another product, and they came in. They went, we need to have a chat. These are my boys. They would have been 18 and 19. I went, what? And they went, you're terrifying us. I went, what are you talking about? They're going, you're going to get MS again.
yeah. Wow.
And I went, what? No, I'm not going, yeah, you are, because you're working, 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 working. This is what happened last time, and you got multiple sclerosis. We don't want to go through that again with you.
Wow.
And I went, shit. And it was like, I was just talking to Jason about it before this. When I first started selling what I do as a product, like Family Freedom Protocol. It's 8 sessions. And I made $58,000 in like 3 days or something. I spent that 58,000. It was in my bank account, $58,000 in my bank account. Now, the year before, I made $19,000. The year before, I made $19,000. This is around February on the third year, February, March, and I made $58,000. Good numbers, right? Amazing, amazing numbers. I spent all of it within a week, and the only thing I had to show for it was a $7,000 second-hand, fourth-hand caravan from 1986.
That's right.
That's the only thing. So numbers mean nothing. This is how I judge my success these days. Yesterday was Anthony's aunt's 80th birthday. So it was an Italian family, the immediate family. So there's 1,455 of us, right? So it wasn't really. It's about 80 or 60 of us, something like 80 of us, I don't know. And we're all there together. Us girls are sitting in the shade on deck chairs, having the best time watching everybody play cricket. There's the girls playing cricket, all the boys playing cricket. And we're just laughing and carrying on, eating the most amazing food, sitting there. And I just took a breath for a moment. I'm sitting in the fresh air, my bare feet on grass, laughing with my sister-in-laws. I'm looking at all my 2 kids, my nephews, my nieces, the distant cousins. My husband's laughing. He's fallen over. All my brother-in-laws. And I'm like, this to me, it makes me emotional thinking about it because it's such a beautiful moment and not many people have it. That to me is success, not that we all love each other, that I get to sit in a moment and be present with it
Yeah.
and be in absolute gratitude for it, because most people have it and they don't notice it.
Yeah.
And just to sit there and go, I felt it in the 70 trillion cells of my body. I felt it. And I went, this to me is beyond excellence. This is outstanding.
Yeah.
And not even that it's happening, but that I get to notice that it's happening.
Yeah. You get to experience that.
I notice the experience of it, not just, oh yeah, it's just another cricket game. It's just another birthday party. It's not just another. We are all alive today. And we all get to create every single moment. And most of these moments are delicious. Some of them are bloody horrendous. But even the horrendous ones, everything is still working out for us
Yeah.
if we just let it.
Yeah. Well said.
And it's just so beautiful to be in every moment. There was a moment that happened to me a couple of years ago. I was in Egypt with Anthony, my husband, and it was the most incredible moment. And I was in the temple of Isis, and I had a very deep, deep channeling from Isis. And I was just looking around. There was like this random cat on the island, and I'm looking at this cat, patting this cat, and I just looked down this little pebble, and I was playing with this pebble with my fingers. And Isis said to me, she said, do you realize this was all created for you, Emma? I went, what? She goes, this was created thousands and thousands and thousands of years for you to sit here with your husband and just appreciate it. Do you know every single blade of grass in this world was made for you, Emma, to go and walk on it, for you to appreciate it? And I went, really? She goes, for every single person on this earth, everything was created for them. I wish they would take a breath to notice it.
Yeah.
And I was like, my God, not everybody got to be on this world at this moment in time.
Mm.
It is such a blessing for us to be here. And especially if you can find the peace in in the chaos, if you can find just the blessing in the chaos, it makes everything better.
Yeah. It is, instead of looking at the external world and despairing at the state of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
the ultimate act of revolution is for you to be you.
Hmm.
So that is you want to change this world, that's how you change it. You change
Exactly.
yourself and everything responds to that. It's a
Everything.
beautiful process.
Don't
Love it.
wait. Don't wait for anything outside of you to change. It will never happen. But change, you can change your thoughts, you can change your beliefs, you can change your emotions, you can definitely heal from trauma. I promise you, I have seen it with my own eyes of trauma is not, in fact, trauma is not to be held in the unconscious mind or the body. And this is why when we hold trauma, it's a constant reminder that we're messing shit up because we'll go into depression, anxiety, ADHD, whatever it might be, cancer. It's just telling us you're holding on to something that's not for you.
Yeah,
You know, this is what we do. We're trauma healers.
yeah,
You know, let a trauma healer do their job. Heal from it. It's actually a whole lot easier to heal from it than to hold on to it. It's really hard work to hold on to it.
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to have a chat about, Jason, before we wind this one up?
I think that's us. Be unreasonable, people.
Mm,
Go against reasonable expectations of what you're capable of. And at times it's gonna take effort and it's not gonna be pleasant. I mean, I'm walking around. Well, when I sprained my toes, when swelling went down, I realized I'd broken two of them. So,
I've
so
I've
I'm
done that
I'm
before. It
walking
really
around
hurts.
on broken toes. But you know what? I'm walking around. I'm doing stuff. I'm creating.
Yeah,
So get on with creating what you want to create in spite of external forces. Yeah. Hope you
yeah.
find that helpful, everyone.
Guys, let us know what you thought about this one. I know the, we've had a few podcasts that I've had so much response to. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep.
So jump on a private message or email, whatever. But yeah, contact us. Tell us what you need to hear, and we will have a chat. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a freaking fabulous, fabulous day. We'll see you soon.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.